My name is Jamie Andrews, and in this video I'm going to compare the obstacle avoidance systems of every Roborock model to date by putting the robots through my standard obstacle avoidance test on carpet and hard floor surfaces. Most modern smart robot vacuums navigate their way around your home using LiDAR, which sits atop the robot vacuums and uses lasers to illuminate objects in the room and then measure the reflected pulses of light to determine the robot's precise location in relation to walls and objects in your home. This is the gold standard for navigation, however it has a fairly large limitation. You see, LiDAR cannot see objects on your floor that are lower than the deck lid, which is where object avoidance comes into play. Without it, you could damage your new expensive robot vacuum. Object avoidance systems usually consist of a series of cameras and/or structured light sensors on the very front of the robot to detect and hopefully avoid objects that lie in its path. Let's take a look at some of these common objects that I test with. First up is fake animal poop, which is a big one for most people that have pets. Second is cords or cables, and for me, this is a big one. Third is shoes, which if left untied can easily have the shoestrings eaten by the robot. Fourth is socks, which always tend to find their way under robots. And last is a cup, which all robots can see and avoid the cup, since it is in the LiDAR path, as you can see here. I put it in the test to show how gentle the robots are with collisions, since all robots will tend to slow down and nudge up against objects to clean as close as possible. Before we get started with the test, here are all of the current firmware versions these tests were run on. Roborock has been known to improve object avoidance through future firmware updates. Now onto the test, and first up is the top of the line S8 Pro Ultra. The S8 Pro Ultra is equipped with Reactive 3D obstacle avoidance, which uses a black and white IR camera along with a set of structured light sensors. On carpet, the S8 Pro fails to avoid most objects, including cords, socks, and the fake animal waste, which is a shame for a flagship robot vacuum and a real surprise for me. On hard floor surfaces, I put the S8 Pro through the same exact test, and it fared a good bit better, avoiding the socks altogether and the fake animal poop, although it did get way too close for comfort. It did not avoid the cords, and with the dual rollers, I noticed it's more likely to suck up cords. I'm giving the S8 Pro Ultra an overall score of a C, mostly due to the poor performance on carpet. Next up we have the QRevo, which is part of Roborock's mid-tier Q series. At almost half the price of the S8 Pro Ultra, it only has a very basic object avoidance system referred to as Reactive Tech, containing only a single light sensor up front. On carpet, you can see the limitation of the very basic object avoidance system. It's only able to avoid the shoe, but it still pushes it around too much, and if it was untied, you would have an issue. For the other objects in this test, it pushes through them as if they were not even there. On hard floor, I ran the QRevo through the same exact test, hoping for better results, but unfortunately, that's not the case, as again it got way too close to the shoe and plowed over the socks, cord, and animal waste. I'm giving the QRevo a D, as I've seen it avoid some objects from time to time in my home, but in these tests it continues to fail even after many different firmware updates. The next robot is the S7 Max Ultra, not to be confused with last year's S7 MaxV Ultra, and that's because the S7 Max has the very same exact basic Reactive Tech object avoidance system as the QRevo. On carpet, the S7 Max performed just the same as the QRevo, only avoiding the shoe and plowing right through the cord, socks, and animal waste. On hard floor again, just like the QRevo, the S7 Max, with its single light sensor, appears to not even be working, but I can assure you all the object avoidance settings are turned on in the app. I'm also going to give the S7 Max Ultra a D for the same reason I gave it to the QRevo. Next up is the S7 MaxV Ultra, which has Reactive AI 2.0 and houses an RGB camera, structured light sensors, and an LED fill light for the dark. The S7 MaxV is older than the previous robots, as it was released back in 2022. On carpet, the S7 MaxV is able to avoid all objects, although it does get a little bit too close to those cords. This isn't thanks to the addition of the RGB camera and Roborock AI, which is not only able to avoid the objects, but also identify what they are, so it can stay further away from animal waste than a sock. On hard floor surfaces, the S7 MaxV again performed flawlessly and stayed a bit further away from the cord and successfully avoided the rest of the objects just as it should. The S7 MaxV has been heavily criticized for having an RGB camera for privacy and security reasons, but as you can see, it is what is needed for near-perfect object avoidance, and for this reason the S7 MaxV is getting an A rating from me. Now this next robot is no longer for sale unless you can find it refurbished or used. It's the S6 MaxV, which was Roborock's first attempt at object avoidance way back in 2020. Its name is Reactive AI, and it houses 2 stereo front-facing cameras. On carpet, the S6 MaxV might be 3 years old, but it still does an outstanding job avoiding everything but the cord in my test. Again, I think this is because it uses not 1 but 2 cameras up front for object recognition. On hard floor surfaces, the S6 MaxV performed almost identical to the carpet test, avoiding all objects except for the cord. I'm not really sure why it's not able to detect and avoid the cord. That's a shame. I'm giving the S6 MaxV a solid B for its performance. There's one Roborock I did not include because as of this filming, it's still in the box. That is the new Q8 Max Plus, but before you fret, it has the same Reactive Tech obstacle avoidance system as the QRevo and the S7 Max, so it should theoretically perform the exact same. In conclusion, I think Roborock needs to take what it created in the S6 MaxV and the S7 MaxV and give us an S8 MaxV worthy of the name MaxV, and also do something to improve or just drop the very basic Reactive Tech object avoidance systems, which only gives people false hope for object avoidance and gives the competition a big leg up in this area. Folks, I always recommend picking up before you send your robots out to clean, no matter how advanced of an object avoidance system your robot may have. There's a large portion of viewers who are not currently subscribed, and I ask if this unique video helped you in any way, please smash that like button and consider subscribing for more in-depth robot vacuum reviews that are coming real soon. Alright, take it easy everyone. Bye-bye.